The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath as the massive ship materialized at the edge of Earth's solar system. It wasn't just one ship, it was 1,000 ships, each one the size of a city, gleaming like molten gold against the black, void of space. Admiral Zektar stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Glory, his forearms crossed behind his back as he gazed at the small blue planet ahead. His species, the Corvani, had conquered 17 star systems in the past century. Earth would be number 18. Commander Velnox, Zektar's voice rumbled through his translator. Begin the standard intimidation broadcast. These humans will surrender once they see our might. Velnox, a younger Corvani with bright purple skin, activated the communication array. Broadcasting on all frequencies, Admiral, the message began transmitting across every radio, television, and internet connection on Earth. Primitive beings of the third planet, you are now subjects of the Corvani Empire. Surrender immediately, and your deaths will be swift. Resist, and suffer the consequences. But something was wrong. Instead of the expected panic and desperate pleas for mercy, Earth's response came back in perfect Corvani language. Message received, Admiral Zektar. Welcome to Sol System. Please proceed to coordinates Alpha 77 for your formal surrender. Zektar's golden eyes widened. How do they know our language? How do they know my name? Before anyone could answer, every screen on the Corvani flagship flickered. A human face appeared. A woman with short gray hair and sharp green eyes wearing what looked like a simple military uniform. Admiral Zektar, she said calmly. My name is General Sarah Chen, Commander of Earth's Unified Defense Force. You have exactly 60 seconds to reverse course and leave our system. This is your only warning. The Corvani bridge erupted in laughter. Zektar himself couldn't contain a deep chuckle. A single human threatens the entire Golden Fleet? Commander Velnox, show them what happens to those who mock the Empire. But as Velnox reached for the weapons console, every light on the bridge suddenly went out. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red light. Admiral! The weapons officer called out, panic creeping into his voice. Our main systems are offline, weapons, shields, navigation, everything. Impossible, Zektar snarled. We're still in deep space. No human technology could reach us here. General Chen's face remained on their screens, even though their communication systems showed as offline. 59 seconds, Admiral. I suggest you don't waste them. That's when Zektar noticed something that made his blood run cold. In the darkness of space around Earth, tiny lights were beginning to appear. Not ships, something else. Something that hadn't been there moments before. What are those? Velnox whispered. The lights weren't moving toward them. They were already there, surrounding the Golden Fleet in a perfect sphere. Thousands of them, millions of them. Sensor sweep, Zektar roared. Now! The sensor officer's hands shook as she worked her console. Admiral, I'm reading massive energy signatures. They're everywhere. Above us, below us, all around. Us. It's like they were invisible until now. General Chen's image smiled. Not a cruel smile, but the patient smile of someone who had been waiting a very long time. 30 seconds, Admiral. Chapter 2. The Truth About Humanity. 3 hours earlier, in a bunker buried 2 miles beneath the Colorado mountains, General Sarah Chen stood before a holographic display showing the approaching Corvani fleet. Around her, dozens of technicians and military officers worked at stations that looked like they belonged centuries in the future, if anyone could see them. Ma'am, called out Lieutenant Marcus Webb, his fingers dancing across a display made of pure light. The Corvani fleet just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Right on schedule. Time until they reach optimal engagement range? Chen asked. 2 hours, 57 minutes, replied Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the head of Earth's Xenobiology Division. Despite her title, Dr. Tanaka looked more like a young college student than one of humanity's top scientists. Their fleet composition matches exactly what the Altarian refugees told us to expect. Chen nodded. The Altarians, blue-skinned humanoids, whose world had been destroyed by the Corvani 5 years ago, had been humanity's first contact with alien life. But not in the way the history books would record it. The truth was, humanity had been in contact with dozens of alien species for the past century. The difference was, humanity had learned to keep quiet about it. "Status report from all stations," Chen commanded. "Cloaked defense platforms are online and ready," reported Colonel James Harrison from his position at the tactical console. "All 15,000 of them. The quantum entanglement network is stable across all nodes," added Dr. Kenji Nakamura, whose cybernetic eye glowed softly as he interfaced directly with Earth's defense grid. "We have real-time communication with every human settlement from here to Proxima Centauri." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "And our friends?" "The Altarian survivors are ready," Dr. Tanaka confirmed. "So are the Zelthani freedom fighters, the displaced Morgani refugees, and about 40 other species who have very personal reasons to see the Corvani Empire fall." Lieutenant Webb looked up from his station, his young face serious. "Ma'am, are you sure about this plan?" "The Corvani have never been defeated. They've conquered 17 star systems." 18, Chen corrected. "They've conquered 18 star systems. But they made one crucial mistake when they came for Earth." "What's that, ma'am?" Chen turned to face the holographic display, where the golden ships of the Corvani fleet were steadily approaching Earth. "They assumed we were alone." The command center fell silent except for the soft humming of advanced technology that officially didn't exist. Chen studied the approaching fleet, remembering the day 5 years ago when the first Altarian refugee ship had crash-landed in the Australian outback. The injured Altarian captain, dying from wounds inflicted by Corvani weapons, had used his last breath to warn humanity. "They're coming for you next. But you have something we didn't. You have time to prepare." Humanity had used that time well. "Initiate Omega Protocol," Chen commanded. "It's time to show the galaxy what happens when you underestimate Earth." Across the planet, and throughout the solar system, technology that had been carefully hidden for years began to activate. Cloaking. Fields dropped. Weapon systems came online. And in the depths of space, humanity's true allies began to reveal themselves. The Corvani were about to learn why every other spacefaring species in the galaxy had a saying: "Never corner a human." Chapter 3. The Galaxy's Greatest Secret Aboard the Eternal Glory. Admiral Zektar stared at the growing number of lights surrounding his fleet. His tactical display showed impossible readings, energy signatures that dwarfed anything in the hay. "Corvani Arsenal. 20 seconds, Admiral." General Chen's voice continued calmly from their hijacked screens. "This is impossible," Zektar roared. "Humans are a primitive species. Our scouts confirmed it. They barely have space travel." That's when a new voice joined the conversation. It spoke in perfect Corvani, but with an accent Zektar recognized with growing horror. "Hello again, Admiral." The voice belonged to Captain Morden of the Altarian Defense Corps, a voice that should have been silenced forever when Altair Prime was destroyed. "You're dead," Zektar snarled. "Your entire species is extinct." "Some of us survived," Captain Morden replied. "And we found friends who were very interested in our story about the golden ships that turned our world to glass." More voices joined the channel. Commander Zelti of the Zelthani Republic, whose world had been enslaved. General Voxtar of the Morgani Resistance, whose people had been scattered across the galaxy. Captain Cannell of the Drakmari Union, whose entire star system had been strip-mined by Corvani machines. Dozens of voices speaking dozens of languages, all united in a single message. "The Corvani Empire ends today." 10 seconds, Admiral," General Chen announced. Zektar's mind raced. How was this possible? The humans were supposed to be alone, defenseless. Every Corvani scout had confirmed it, but as he looked at his sensor readings, a terrible understanding began to dawn. The human ships weren't advanced. They were using technology from dozens of different species. The cloaking systems were Altarian. The energy weapons were Zelthani. The shield generators were Morgani. Humanity hadn't developed advanced technology. They had become the galaxy's refugee center. 5 seconds, Chen announced. "Wait!" Zektar called out. We can negotiate. The Empire is willing to discuss terms. 1 second. The universe exploded into light. But it wasn't the light of destruction. It was the light of justice. Energy beams lanced out from thousands of hidden positions, each one precisely calibrated to disable rather than destroy. Corvani shields collapsed instantly under the coordinated assault. Weapon systems shut down. Engines went offline. In less than 60 seconds, the most powerful fleet in the galaxy was completely helpless. Attention, Corvani forces. General Chen's voice carried clearly through the now silent communication channels. Your ships are disabled but intact. Your crews are unharmed. You have a choice to make. Admiral Zektar found his voice. What choice? You can return to your empire as you are, defeated and humiliated. Tell them that Earth is under the protection of the Galactic Refugee Alliance, and any further aggression will result in the complete dismantling of every Corvani world. Zektar's 4 hands clenched into fists. And the alternative? You can stay. Learn. Discover what happens when different species work together instead of conquering each other. Several of your own people have already made this choice over the years. Impossible. No Corvani would ever. Admiral Zektar, a new voice interrupted. This one spoke in Corvani, but with a human accent. This is Commander Tekvor, formerly of the Corvani Second Fleet. Zektar's eyes widened. Tekvor? You disappeared 3 years ago during the Rigel campaign. I was captured by human forces, Tekvor explained. But instead of being executed, I was given a choice. I chose to learn about cooperation instead of conquest. Admiral, the humans and their allies aren't our enemies. They're showing us a better way. Around the eternal glory, the golden ships of the Corvani fleet drifted silently in space, their crews struggling to process what had just happened. They had come to conquer a primitive world, and instead found themselves facing a coalition of every species they had ever wronged. You have 1 hour to decide, General Chen announced. Choose wisely. Chapter 4. A New Alliance on Earth. Crowds gathered in every major city to watch the live broadcast from space. For the first time in human history, the world was seeing proof that they were not alone in the universe. In the underground command center, General Chen stood surrounded by holographic displays showing reactions from across the globe. Some people were celebrating, others were afraid, most were simply stunned. Ma'am, Lieutenant Webb called out, we're receiving surrender signals from 60% of the Corvani fleet. 20% are requesting asylum and asking to join the Alliance. The remaining 20% are too proud to surrender and too scared to fight, Chen finished. Let them go. They'll spread the word that Earth and the Alliance are not to be trifled with. Dr. Tanaka looked up from her xenobiology station. Ma'am, we're receiving communication requests from 12 different star systems. Word is spreading fast about what happened here. Refugee requests? Some. But others are governments wanting to join the Alliance voluntarily. The Corvani Empire's defeat is sending shockwaves across the galaxy. Chen nodded. This was exactly what they had hoped for when they had started building the Alliance 5 years ago. Every species the Corvani had conquered or displaced had been offered the same deal. Sanctuary on Earth or one of humanity's colony worlds in exchange for their knowledge and cooperation. The result was the most diverse and technologically advanced alliance the galaxy had ever seen. General, Colonel Harrison reported. Admiral Zektar is requesting a private channel. He says he wants to surrender personally. Put him through. Zektar's image appeared on the main display. The proud admiral looked older than he had an hour ago, his golden skin dulled with the weight of defeat. General Chen, he began, his voice heavy. The Corvani Empire formally surrenders our fleet to your alliance. But I must ask, how? Did you know we were coming? How did you prepare so perfectly? Chen smiled. Admiral, every species in the galaxy knows about the Corvani Empire's methods. You send scouts to study a world for months before invading. You analyze their technology, their defenses, their culture. You learn everything about them. Yes, that is our way. But you never considered that your scouts might be detected, that they might be captured, that they might be convinced to change sides. Zektar's eyes widened as understanding dawned. Our advanced scouts, the ones we sent to Earth 2 years ago, are currently living in New Zealand, working as agricultural consultants, Chen confirmed. They're quite happy, actually. Amazing what happens when you offer someone a chance to build instead of destroy. The defeated admiral was quiet for a long moment. Then, what happens to my fleet? To my people? The same thing that happens to everyone who comes to Earth seeking refuge, Chen replied. You get a second chance, but this time you get to choose what you do with it. On screens around the world, humanity watched as the golden ships of the Corvani fleet began moving into formation around Earth, not as conquerors, but as the newest members of the Galactic Refugee Alliance. Epilogue. 6 months later, the small cafe in downtown Geneva looked perfectly ordinary from the outside. Inside, however, the conversation taking place over coffee would have been impossible just a year ago. So then I told him, Commander Tekfor was saying in accented English, you cannot simply add more engines to make a ship faster. There are aerodynamic principles involved. His lunch companion, Dr. Sarah Martinez from MIT's Xenoengineering Department, laughed. I'm sure Captain Williams learned that lesson the hard way. How many test flights before they figured out the problem? 7. The 8th flight was quite spectacular, though. They achieved their speed goal, and then crashed into a mountain. Well, yes, but very quickly. At the next table, an Altarian child was teaching human students basic mathematics, using base 16 instead of base 10. Her parents, both former military officers, worked with Earth's Defense Force to design new shield systems. Across the cafe, a group of former Corvani soldiers were deep in discussion with human engineers about sustainable mining techniques that didn't require strip mining entire planets. Dr. Yuki Tanaka entered the cafe, tablet in hand, and approached Tekvor's table. Commander, I have the latest reports from the outer colonies. 3 more star systems have requested Alliance membership this week. Any more refugee ships incoming? Tekfor asked. 2. 1 from the Andromeda sector. Apparently word is spreading that Earth is a safe haven. The other is more interesting. It's a Corvani science vessel that went rogue. They're requesting asylum and offering to share advanced terraforming technology. Tekfor smiled, an expression that would have been impossible for a Corvani just 6 months ago. Excellent. The galaxy is changing, Dr. Tanaka. Species that have been enemies for centuries are learning to work together. Through the cafe window, they could see construction crews, human, Altarian, Corvani, and a dozen other species, working together to build Earth's first interstellar embassy. The building would house representatives from 47 different worlds. Dr. Martinez checked her watch. I should get back to the lab. We're testing the new hybrid engines this afternoon. Human efficiency with Zelthani power output. As she left, Tekfor turned to Dr. Tanaka. Doctor, may I ask you something? Of course. When your species first encountered us, when you realized we existed, why didn't you panic? Why didn't you try to hide or prepare for war? Dr. Tanaka smiled. Commander, humans have been imagining life among the stars for thousands of years. When we finally found out we weren't alone, our first thought wasn't, how do we defend ourselves? It was, how do we make friends? Outside, a passenger ship was landing at Geneva's new interstellar spaceport. The weekly transport from New Terra carried human colonists returning home to visit family, along with aliens who had decided to make Earth their permanent home. In the past 6 months, the Galactic Refugee Alliance had grown from a secret network to the most powerful political and military force in the galaxy, not through conquest, but through cooperation. The Corvani Empire still existed, but it was changing. Planets that had been strip-mined were being restored using Alliance technology. Species that had been enslaved were being freed and offered choices: return to their homeworlds, join their people in Alliance territory, or help build something new. And Earth, little Earth that the Corvani had expected to conquer in minutes, had become the galaxy's new capital of hope. As Tekvor finished his coffee and prepared to return to his duties as Earth's Deputy Defense Coordinator, he reflected on the human saying he had learned to love. The best way to make an enemy is to conquer them. The best way to make a friend is to help them. The galaxy was finally learning the difference. Above Earth's atmosphere, the combined fleets of the Galactic Refugee Alliance maintained their protective formation, ships from dozens of worlds, working together to ensure that no species would ever again face conquest alone. And in the depths of space, other empires that had once seemed unstoppable were beginning to receive the same message the Corvani had heard: surrender or face the consequences. But either way, there's a better option available. All you have to do is ask. The age of galactic conquest was ending. The age of galactic cooperation had begun, and it had all started with a single message from a small blue planet. Welcome to Sol System. Please proceed to coordinates Alpha 77 for your formal surrender.